Good evening, everyone. My name is Gulshan Memoria. I'm the CEO and founder of Inspiredvalley, which is a personal growth training company situated in New Delhi. We've started this initiative where we connect with the best minds in the educational world to discuss on some of the prominent topics. So, on today's topic, the topic that we have today is fostering creativity and innovation in the classroom and the strategies for teachers and administrators. To discuss on this topic, we have some prominent speakers. The very first speaker we have is Miss Ruchika Sukhija. She is a principal at Mahavir Senior Model School situated in Delhi. Next, we have Miss Savita Nehra. She is a principal at SSC Academy Senior Secondary School, Gurugram. We also have Miss Vidya Muralidharan. She is a principal at Army Public School, Golconda, Hyderabad. Next, we have Dr. John Mathew. He is a principal at Green Valley International School and PU College, Udupi. And last we have is Miss Sarita Gomes. She is the head principal at Marwari Vidyalaya High School, Mumbai. I welcome you everyone on our show.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you.
As you all know, that today's topic requires a lot of depth and understanding because this is the hot topic which is going on coming nowadays, the fostering creativity and innovation in the classroom, which everyone is talking about this creativity and innovation. And a lot of teachers, the educators are implementing a lot of activities to imbibe this creativity and innovation in their classrooms. So let me ask my very first question with one of our esteemed speakers, Vidya ma'am. Vidya ma'am, as you know, that research have shown that creativity and innovation are becoming increasingly important in the workforce, right? So how can the school prepare the students to develop these skills? And what are the strategies which you have seen implemented or being implemented in the past few years? So according to your experience, please.
Yeah, firstly, I think thank you for having me in your show, and I think it's indeed a pleasure being amongst all of you. I think creativity and innovation, I think it's a beautiful question and a beautiful thought because I think many times in the routine classroom transactions which have been taking place over the years, creativity and innovation is generally brushed aside because they don't put children on the center stage. See, now with evolving techniques and evolving educational strategies, children have become the center stage of the teaching and learning. I think it's a very big uh, change which the Indian education system has gone through. So when you make creativity a part of your day-to-day process, I think it's very important to involve the children in their teach in the learning process. I think only then I think the children will have the onus of making a decision or giving out some originality or ideating. The important part is ideating. If only if they ideate, so probably in a later stage you can step it up so that they innovate and probably make a prototype. I think this is a very, very important aspect which probably our classrooms must bring in. And at our school, yes, I think we do a lot of initiatives in terms of fostering creativity in students.
The young
So we
minds.
have, creativity in minds. I think as you see the 21st century learning design, which has come into play now, it is basically inquiry based and one I can say knowledge construction. I think this was not allowed previously. Now they are allowing children or probably encouraging children to construct knowledge. So I'll give you one little example, which a project which we did in our school. I think this is a very interesting. Probably I imbibed it from uh, one of the projects when I visited the United States in one of the schools. So I polished it and applied in my school. So this is about the latitudes and longitudes. So what happens? The student has, after understanding the concept, must create an island in the world map. So then using the coordinates, the latitudes and longitudes, you make inferences as what is going to be the climate of the island, what is going to be the crop production there, and how is the economy going to be driven. I think this was one of the projects which actually changed the thought process of the students and also the teachers as to how you can actually make the children apply their learning. I think this was one of, probably I could see one of the turning points in this was about a few years ago I'm talking.
That's
So
wonderful.
now, yeah, I think this is a beautiful experiment. And even today, I do a workshop with the teachers. I quote this one particular thing because it's completely out of the box, where the children are right there and they have the probably opportunity to collaborate,
So this
brainstorm.
project-based learning actually
Yeah,
helps a lot.
it helps a lot. I think this is one of the important things in the 21st century learning design is collaboration, skilled communication, and how the children use ICT for their own learning. We know that generally teachers use it in learning, maybe by using a smart board or being, but the children using ICT for their own learning, I think it's a very, very important aspect which drives better learning in students. It also has gives the opportunity for a student to receive a feedback for their own learning. So I think this is probably these are some of the strategies which we use in our
Which you
schools.
use in your school, in the school
In our
ecosystem to
schools,
foster this
yeah,
creativity.
yeah,
Wonderful.
and then yeah, so that's what we do. Of course, this is in a nutshell. Um,
Wonderful, ma'am. I would like to have views from Dr. Mathew. Dr. Mathew, if you are listening us,
Yes, yes.
so how your school is taking care of, I mean, what are the activities and what are the different areas that you are focusing upon to foster these innovation and creativity in your school? Can you please share your views on this?
Actually, it is the need of the hour because, the way we generate information and the way we transmit generation has totally changed. In this regard, I would like to just recollect, say from 1965, if you take, yeah, precisely, because 2 weeks back, I think Gordon Moore passed away, the Intel Corporation co-founder. And Moore's law actually was that every square inch of chip that was brought in was to multiply every year, into millions and millions possibilities. So in ITC, information technology, so much of revolution has taken place. And our traditional concept of teacher as a, say, prehistoric times as a guru, from Vedic times to, they generated information, they transmitted information. That is what had been going on even the pre-independence and post-independence India also. So the kind of education that is going on, we have to part with now with the coming of ITC, and it cannot be just uh, confined to one or two instances of using technology into education, which everybody is doing, a slideshow, a presentation, or a broadcast, or a virtual tour, or a, virtual reality, or augmented reality, or artificial intelligence. So this scope is, unlimited. It has become.
Exactly.
I think my
Nowadays, so
previous
yes.
previous teacher, previous principal, Vidya Muralidharan, has already stated that in her experience also, that the students have come to the forefront in generating information and also in translating this information to each other and learning. It has become a kind of learning community, a village for learning. School becomes a center for learning. I think there is immense scope for, children also to pursue information and, of course, with the guidance of the teachers. And today, 21st century, there is no school which is not that equipped or which is not having ITC incorporated in them. But from school to school, it differs.
It differs,
How
yes.
well how well we are utilizing it, precisely. They are in processing information, collaborating, in creating, in transmitting, in storing information, retrieving it. So there are different innumerable branches of it. So the role we are playing is we are teachers are not just dictators who are just going to from a pedestal give
Exactly.
information
Exactly, yes.
and formation, but we have to take them along with you in disseminating and in this journey of
Exploring, I would rather say. Yes.
exploring. We make children co-travelers or
Wonderfully.
partners. And
Wonderfully.
that happens in perhaps our traditional mindset. It makes little difficult. Maybe we have to get younger generation to of teachers, even educators itself, to have a paradigm change in that.
There
So
is
the
a paradigm
greatest,
change which is happening, sir. I believe. I mean, when I
yeah,
interact with a
it
lot
is
of
happening.
teachers and the educators or the principals, even, I can see a lot of paradigm shift in the thinking process, in their thinking
Right,
process.
right.
When it happened, of course, it changes the teaching processes in their school as well. Ruchika, ma'am, you have raised your hand. Please share your views.
Yeah, a very good evening once again. And I was listening very, very carefully to what Vidya ma'am said and what John sir said. And I was smiling to myself, of course, in resonance of what they were saying. I also liked to peculiar things that they said. Vidya ma'am said about constructing knowledge, and sir talked about being a dictator to a co-traveler in our journey towards, discovering education. What I also feel is that, of course, we are talking about ICT skills, we are talking about constructive knowledge. To me, it also comes when the learners are given autonomy in the classroom. I am talking about autonomy at two levels here. Autonomy of the teachers, of course, teachers have this autonomy of whatever they are doing in the classroom, of course, within the given parameters, and same is for the students. So as Vidya ma'am was recalling one incident also, one such learning incident also came to my mind, wherein we were talking about sustainable development goals in the classroom. The students were divided into groups, and we told them as to whichever way they want to express their concern, they are free to do so. So of course, the play, the poster, all of these are very, very common ways in which they do it. And one group came to me and they said that we would like to present it through a classical dance. And to me, it was it took me a little while to even make them understand that perhaps would you be able to do it. So it was a little unbelievable, incredible to me as well. But ultimately, the performance was really, really good. And I think when we are talking about creativity, it is time that we trust our learners a little more. We give them a little more autonomy. If they're happy in your classroom, if they have the liberty and they have understood the concept well, I don't see any reason why won't they be coming out with creative things.
It's going really well. When Sir said co-traveler and you said that to give them more autonomy, it's a wonderful going on. Vidya, ma'am, please share your views.
Yeah, I think here, I think as a co-traveler, I think this is something which is really very, very interesting. So keeping that in mind, see what we did during the COVID time, I would like to give you an incident. Like all the teachers, they were all new to technology and we were all exploring and finding out various strategies through which we can do the online teaching. So we actually threw it open to the students, we made them part of our journey and we told them, okay, who is this who can teach this better than me? And then I think there were children who came up with mind-blowing techniques much better than what the teacher could do, exploring various platforms through which mathematics could be taught, because I think that is the most difficult thing to teach online per se. But I think the children, I think as participants, as co-travelers of knowledge and learning, I think they did an amazing job. So involving the students and giving them freedom and taking them owners of their own learning, I think it goes a long way in their
We
own.
have to share that responsibility part as well. So we have to make them understand, okay, if you are taking the autonomy we are giving you, but we need to take some responsibility factor along with you. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Savita, I want to ask you that question. I mean, it's a very interesting one which was there in my mind earlier. So some of the people believe that creativity and innovation are innate abilities and that can't be taught. There's a different school of thought, right? So what is your opinion on this, and how can teachers help the students who may not have seen themselves as a creative to develop these skills?
Good evening, everyone. This question is
Yes, please carry on. We can hear you.
yes. Okay, sir. So it's regarding the creativity. When we are talking about the creativity, so surely creativity that is an innate ability. But the main thing is that it can be nurtured. It can be nurtured through the, you can say, associating. It can be nurtured with the help of the questioning. It can be increased with the help of the observation. It can be done with the experimenting. Because whenever, suppose कीजिए कि history is the quite boring subject. Because when we will have to teach history to the classes, then the number of the student like me, because my own subject was mathematics.
Okay.
So in my childhood, if I go back to my own student life, so I feel that it was quite boring one. But at that time, no technology was there. So what my history teacher, she used to do, she will have to teach history in a, you can say, in a story manner. So that, or you can say the role depiction was also. Sometimes she will have to do the role play to us. And we were very happy at that time. So the same I have experiment in my school. Whenever we will have to some historical topic. So what we do, I used to do the historical trip planning. Suppose कीजिए कि अगर मुझे मुगल एम्पायर पढ़ाना है तो जनरली मुगल गार्डन था, राइट नाउ द नेम हैज बीन चेंज्ड, अमृत उद्यान हो गया है. सो व्हाट आई यूज्ड टू डू कि आई जस्ट प्लान द ट्रिप फॉर द स्टूडेंट so that at least before starting of any such topic of the typical topic of the history, if the students are revolving you can say planning for the historical trip, and their parents are also quite happy to send them outside, because from the last 2-3 years what was happening, everyone was closed in the four wall boundaries. And what was happening, student also like the trips, because from the last 2-3 years they were also shut down in their homes. So it helps us a lot. So as per my view, that it is not only the innate quality, it can be, you can say, achieved, it can be nurtured. And it is all about of, you can say, our fearless ideas. And if a student can explain them and even motivate the others also to perform such type of the activities in the classrooms. Suppose कीजिए like the ma'am, Vidya ma'am has given the very good example कि longitude and latitude. Again, it's very boring topic of the geography. But when we are doing some experiment with the topic, and when we will give them the just find out the, you can say, the countries which will exactly situated between the longitude and the latitude. So definitely they will have to search. They can Google it. They can find out, and we can tell them कि as per the, you can say, the temperature of the, you can say, country, you need to find out कि which type of the, you can say, whether the wheat can be grown there, whether the barley can be grown there. So definitely they will Google it, and they will give you the different kind of the answers. So technology, or you can say the creativity, when we are forcing the student to think over something, that means the brainstorming is required. So we will have to give the open-ended question to the student so that they can think over it. And when they will going to find out, suppose कीजिए classroom है, and classroom is having the all type of the students. Some are the average ones, some are the intelligent, some are the below average. So actually in some schools what is going on कि they just divide the section as per their intellectual level. But as per my view, somewhere it is wrong. Because that is quite okay with the creamy student, those who are the scoring above 80%. Definitely somehow we will have to upgrade their sections like this. But what about the remaining ones? So at least suppose if we are having the 4 sections, so out of the 4 section we can work on one section which will be the, you can say, above 80%. But remaining student, that can be mixed into the homogeneous group. And the same situation and the same questionnaire should be given to them, so that every student will have the equal chance to think about a single problem.
Exactly.
It can be there. Yes.
वंडरफुली आपने ना जो बात पकड़ी मॉर्निंग मतलब स्टार्टिंग में, मुझे अभी भी मैं रेजोनेट कर पा रहा हूँ उस बात से। जैसे आपने कहा मैथ्स के अंदर क्रिएटिविटी लाना, तो अभी हिस्ट्री में तो फिर भी आसान है, बट मैथ्स के अंदर लाना क्रिएटिविटी, इट्स अ बिगर चैलेंज। यस।
Bring the mathematics topic. I will tell you mathematics can be also become the more creative. Suppose case if we will have to give them the tables, like in the Montessori, what we will have to do, like we can make some staircases on which the number are jotted down.
I have seen that a lot of schools they have mentioned. Yes, I have seen
Lot of schools
visited a
they are
couple of
doing,
schools.
and really
Yes.
it is happening. And by using the biggest method and the Vedic mathematics, that can be the more creative. And it
Exactly.
will be help easily for the multiplication and for the division methods. So it will become the more interesting if we are giving that.
Exactly.
Or you
So
can say that the homogeneous group formation can be there so that the creativity can be nurtured. And apart
exactly.
from this, we will have to stop somewhere the rote memory. What is the basic problem in the mathematics that the student, when they are grooming up, yeah, you can say that when they are entering in the third class or in the fourth class, if you will compare the grades of the students in the mathematics, you will find that from class nursery to class second, everyone they will score the good marks in the mathematics.
I was the
But
one.
when
I was the one. I used to come first till sixth standard. I still remember. I still have those report cards. And from seventh class onwards, my percentage plummet like this.
so
And
what is
my
the
parents
reason?
had to intervene in ninth standard because otherwise I could have failed.
Somewhere the reason is the which I think that somewhere the reason is the teaching of the mathematics in the classroom, whether it is the boring one and whether it is completely based upon the rote memory. Because what is happening when the student enter in the third class, that immediately the table start up, and some students,
A
some
lot of
students
things
they
are
will
happening. A lot of things are
tell,
happening. Just take it. Take a pause. Yes, Sarita
yes,
ma'am, I would like to have your views first. Then I'll give you a
sure,
chance to Ruchika ma'am, please.
okay, sir.
So, as Rita ma'am said, in maths, there are the activities which we can really enhance the kids. So, my school teachers also do this. Generally, bring the children to understand the concept, what normally the activity they want to have. So, I believe give them the time to design what basically the topic they don't understand, and there should be no time bound for them. So this is because there are children who are scared about the figures. Huh? Maths, halo effect. Children say maths period, okay, bhago. If the teacher is good or she is not good, whatever be. So bringing them to the level of activity, making them understand, help them to understand the benefit of it, right? So guide them through the stage they are in and let them give an opportunity to frame and get a leadership for this activity what is done, really enhance the children to learn this creativity method.
It's
So
wonderful.
this is what I just thought of sharing.
Wonderful.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Ruchika ma'am, please.
Oh, my dear co-leaders, just allow me to take a little liberty somewhere, somebody here is afraid of mathematics, somebody is afraid of social sciences. So it's like a miniature classroom, right? Wherein, of course, the children would be afraid of one thing, or somebody would be in love with mathematics, or love with SST. I for sure is in love with SST, so I don't find any aspect of it boring. But I think when it comes to the classroom, of course, it is pressing the right buttons. It is asking, as ma'am said, as Savita ma'am said, asking the right questions. It is about identifying the strengths and the potential of not only the child, because we are working towards collaboration. I think identifying the strength, the potential of that group as well, and then designing tasks for them. So if we want them to be creative, if we want to nurture their creativity, of course we have to design the tasks a little like that. When it comes to history, I have very beautiful remembrances. Plus, how we are teaching history now, as ma'am said, of course, history can be through role play, it can be through stories. I think it can be through monuments as well, as ma'am said. But when we are talking about monuments, I see their language, I see art, I see mathematics, I see all the subjects getting integrated over there. And I think that is what makes the bottom line, because every child is now interested. If I'm good at art, I can sit there and draw a particular aspect. If I am good at mathematics, I can be told to do certain other things. It's all about how the teacher is planning. When it comes to mathematics, I would also like to address the concern of Gulshan ji. He said that he scored very nicely till class sixth, and till after class seventh, the scores were not very, very good. And the similar pattern, most of us do see in our schools as well. So we did two things this time. One, as we were talking about, that perhaps it's very, very difficult to bring creativity into mathematics. I was in a surprise when I give a little autonomy to my own learners. For middle classes, for the first time, we organized a mathematics exhibition wherein the children made working models. When they meet working models and they explain, so it's mathematics, they're working with hands also, so there are projects also, they're working in groups also, so everything was taken care of. And finally it culminated in an exhibition wherein the parents came, visited, and the children were explaining that. And later on I thought that let us put it to practice as well. And believe it or not, in the middle school also the students went, they measured the height of the school building, they measured the height of the tree, and I think that created a success story for them that they are going to remember, and perhaps we were able to create some love for mathematics as well. Thank you.
It's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, Vidya ma'am, you want to add your point, please?
Yeah, I think adding on, I think this mathematics is probably taking the center stage out here. So I thought,
Ma'am, physics also and chemistry also is not very, is on the
yeah,
tail.
because you're talking about mathematics per se, but I thought so. I'll also add on something to what we did here. See, now generally when the student comes into the middle school, I think the integers plays a very very important part of their mathematical understanding. So I think here, when we gave freedom to the students, I think they developed games based out of integers. So game-based pedagogy. So they took the responsibility of their own learning and they created a game for learning integers, and they just showcased it to their peers in the class. So the understanding became much better. So this is how we nurture creativity in classroom, probably in our own schools, by giving that freedom and igniting the spark in the student to make learning his own responsibility. I think this is a very, very important point, I feel.
Wonderful, wonderful. As we're talking about the autonomy and giving more freedom, that leads to failure, sometimes failure. This leads to my next question to Ruchika ma'am. Ruchika ma'am, as many students are afraid of failure, right, which can hold them back from taking risk and trying different new things, right? So how can a teacher and administrators can create a safe environment in the classroom where the failure is seen as a natural part of the learning process, not something like to be avoided or to be afraid of?
Thank you so much, Gulshan ji, for this very, very significant question. As teachers, we all want our children to accept failures, to learn from them. But, we should take a moment to realize that we hardly equip them with the skills required to do so. So, we all know life is full of ups, downs, successes, failures. And therefore, I feel students should not only know how to relish and enjoy success, but they should also know how to accept and learn from their failures. So, first thing that I think we should all do is that we should reiterate respect for all students. As teachers and as administrators, I think it is our responsibility to ensure that every child is feeling supported, every child is feeling loved, regardless of their abilities and regardless of their achievements. A few key strategies that we adopt as a school. First, I think very significant, we adopt collaborative and differential ways of teaching. I think from every class, each child should have some takeaways, and the child should also be able to contribute something to that class, because that would add to the self esteem of the child, and definitely it would enhance his or her self image. And in the long run, this will equip him to take failures in his stride. Second, I think we should focus on constructive feedback rather than criticism, especially while we are discussing mistakes, errors, problems. So sometimes in the classroom, I feel it is better that we are taking common mistakes for discussion rather than pinpointing names that this child did that and so on.
Exactly.
Encourage children to learn from their failures rather than highlighting their mistake. And here you have to act as a role model.
Hmm.
Thirdly, I find it's very important to inculcate in our students. So every time anybody in the class is making mistakes, it is very important to tell them that it is all right to make mistakes. It is all right to fail from time to time, but it is very important that these perceived failures are also used as opportunities for growth. So we should learn from them and move. Another very good thing that we have been doing, and it has been very very successful, is that we have been discussing the stories of people who have been very very successful. So
Exactly.
real world examples of people who have failed multiple times before becoming successful in their respective fields, so that children understand that there is not one path towards success. It's your perseverance, it's your hard work, it's your determination, it's believing in yourself. And if I take a step forward as a principal, also, I've been doing this. I strongly suggest my teachers also that you should provide an authentic and supportive setting by sharing with students your own experiences of setbacks and successes
Exactly.
through
Exactly.
life. I
This
feel
was
that.
something which I really wanted to add this point, because when you give the example of some third person, right? They can't correlate, or
I get
they can relate with that person. But when you give your own examples, because you have already been through that process, you have also seen some failures in your life. For an example, I'll take a step further. After 12th, they have to clear one any of this entrance examination, right? Either an IIT one, or the NEET, or the BITSET. Any, you take any example, the ratio of getting into that particular degree or particular into that institution is somewhere around 1 is to 100 or 1 is to 50, right? That to a government one, not to the private one. So out of 50 or out of 100, only one person will get the seat. So 49 will not seen as a failure, right? It's a natural process, definitely. They have to, competitive mechanism होना चाहिए, बट फेलियर को सिर्फ फेलियर नहीं देखना, इट्स अ लर्निंग
और
प्रोसेस, इट्स
यहाँ
इवॉल्विंग
पर बैठ के
प्रोसेस.
हम जिस तरीके से बात कर रहे हैं, आई थिंक टू encourage open dialogue on these kind of topics through classroom discussions, or sometimes even there are children who would not like to contribute, so through anonymous feedback, so that at least you get to know as to what is troubling them, and then you can
Exactly.
have an open dialogue on these topics. I think that is very very important. And finally, just one more thing I would like to add. Sometimes I also tell the teachers that it is all right if we are giving a retest, if we are actually telling the students or the to there we are giving them opportunities to practice skills in safe scenarios before we tell them to perform under pressure, because we have to address their anxiety as well. So I think we have to build resilience by experimenting, by encouraging experimentation, by encouraging risk taking, fostering collaboration rather than competition among the learners, and multiple pathways, very much important, multiple
Exactly.
pathways through differential instructions. Then modeling, the teacher has to be role model, modeling grit over intelligence, while you yourself are also dealing with challenges instead of avoiding them. So in a nutshell, I think it is a little more work for the teachers and administrators, but I think the outcome is far good, because we are going to have much better students, and that too future ready
We
ones.
just required a mind shift. I'm not see as a challenge, is just a mind shift in the teacher's mind and how they're going to teach. I would like to recall a recent example of like which I had seen. I was giving this career guidance workshop in Navy Children's School. So one of the parent who is still in the service, like he was a captain or something. So he told me in between of the lecture, in between of the workshop, कि sir, you have to include the entrepreneurship as a career option. Why you're not focusing on entrepreneurship? You see a shift कि यार बाकी तो career options की आप बात कर रहे हो, आप entrepreneurship को भी depth में discuss करो, because right now the lot of people who would see as a, because not everybody will get a job. They have to, we need to create more job creators, not as job seekers. Vidya ma'am, please share your views.
Yeah, actually, I want to share something else. Now, when you're talking about entrepreneurship, I thought I should add on to that. See, I think this is a culture which I made in my school. Now, I think we are having entrepreneurship workshops for the students. to make them understand how they can manage their own ideas and take them to the next level. See, I probably felt the need for it because here I found a girl who is excellent in, tailoring and probably handcraft or whatever. She got married and she moved on to probably a smaller city, and she couldn't go any further because she didn't know how to market herself. She didn't know how to put it as a business and earn a livelihood. So this is where the entrepreneurship comes in. So the need for entrepreneurship is there in the community per se, to promote their own ideas, to make a livelihood, and probably influence the community with your ideas. So entrepreneurship, I think it's a very, very important skill which probably everyone, probably not only students, probably even adults, you and me, probably should be knowing how to take it ahead. So that's what
It's a
I
need
feel
of the
about
time, ma'am. It's a
entrepreneurship.
need of the time.
It's the need.
Recently,
It's
on
the need.
January 24th,
Yeah.
Dayal Singh College, which is a reputed college in Delhi, they invited me as a guest speaker to talk about on entrepreneurship, because being an entrepreneur, I've already given 5 years of my life. So they just asked me to come and share the ideas and why entrepreneurship is required currently. Not everybody look for a job. You need to focus on this second angle as well. Dr. Mathew, please share your views. You wanted to add something?
Well, I would like to take my own perception and what I have experimented 20 years with the British curriculum schools, and for another 15 or more years with other curriculums. What I have observed, frankly speaking, we have been talking now in this panel, we have been talking about results, success, failure, children performing, entrepreneurship, different skills that are to be given. Uh, the most important thing that is required in education today is a child should be comfortable in the classroom, in the school. Comfortable, I say, in the school or in the classroom means he has to realize his own potential. We are talking about, visual learners, auditory learners, or kinesthetic learners. We are putting ICT to supplement it. They pick up knowledge. And finally, they will. Getting 35% or 40% mark for a pass is not the aim of or purpose of education. Because very many sensible parents have started, you might know, uh, homeschooling.
Yes.
They have
Exactly.
started taking children out of
Yes.
school and giving them the congenial atmosphere and the kind of experiences they require. They are not put under any tension. They are not put under any examination, any of our physical kind of assessment which will decide you are a success or a failure. You are just allowed to be what you are. And a good teacher who knows the subject and love the subject. A good teacher who will know the student and love the student makes the children automatically learn. And I have never seen failures happening in such kind of environments. This is a experience I would like to share any platform, anywhere. We don't see children failing as such. Because I tell, what you learned in 8th standard. If any of these panelists, if I ask, what did you learn in 8th standard? How many of you can recollect? What did you learn in 9th standard? How many of you can recollect? But some of the wonderful experiences and this wonderful memories that you may recollect. So we have something called accelerated learning. Accelerated learning, once you're taken into something, maybe what took you 9 years or 10 years to learn, perhaps you may pick it up in 1 month or 2 months. It's not necessary that, this type of, but we know our system, we know our educational framework, where certain minimum requirements are there. But once we have a congenial atmosphere and teachers who know the subject and love the subject, know the children and love the subject, love the children, they handle it. Children are never a failure. I hardly see children. Maybe some subjects they may be little weak, they may not be that good at. But there is scope, enormous scope for every skill and every talent. You don't have to be engineer or a doctor or anything. You don't have to be an entrepreneur also. Whatever you are good at, if you are the best person, if you make the child realize you are good at this particular task, and if you are going to be the best at that, there is a lot of scope for you. Even if you are an electrician, you are the best electrician in town. You may be a good entrepreneur. You may have a business empire built slowly, and you may branch out within the country, outside the country. You may go. I only give menial examples, but high-profile jobs, high-skilled jobs. For all this, once they have the kind of mindset, 10 years of schooling, 12 years of schooling, 14 years of schooling after that, by that time they make their mind ready for the right choice in their life. So purpose of education is to make them realize what you are good at. And a jack of all, you are good at everything that is taught in the school. And giving that kind of wonderful experiences where they will do a bit of the emptiness of our education system is there's no scope for research. There is no scope for the child to innovate, the child to explore and find out. The teacher, you want to learn about biology, the parts of a flower. The teacher will go draw on the board or show a picture and say, this is corolla, this is pistil, this is stem. Okay, fine. Okay, well, the teacher can, put some visual images, can have a wonderful presentation, it will be excellent. But even the teacher can ask, bring a flower from your garden, and different students are brought, maybe different colors, different textures, different pigmentation, and now technology has made it possible for the child. If you are channelizing them to explore so much so that sometimes I tell my teachers also, our aim is not to recreate children like us. I don't want any child to be like me. I want the children to be better than me in future. If I want to make my child better than me, because look at me, I'm like this, I'm like that. No, don't look at me. There are better people and better careers and better life out there, better knowledge systems out there. So we are making them equipped for that, and that happens. All this aesthetic or visual learning and kinesthetic learning all will contribute, and the basic education is well meant, but the quality of education would decide on these seeds of research and knowledge and information that we put in. Unfortunately, in our education system, and schools are concerned, schools are highly competitive. It is a kind of public relations stunt that is going on in most schools. We are just creating an aura of all these things. And, just factories like, we are just sending children is not the right thing. And there are institutions.
So I totally got your point, but there are some reasons out there when the schools behave like this, because this social conditioning like this, right? When you said that, okay, let the student to explore their areas, but if you visit to the places in UP where every parent want their child to enroll either in engineering or to become an IS or to become 90 percentile, it actually breaks heart, because as a teacher or as a leader, you tend to share more views. It might be agreeing in Hyderabad, people are more accepted. It might be, the schools would have been different in Bangalore or in Delhi, but there are many areas and there are thousands of schools who are still following the same pedagogy or same belief system. Savita ma'am, please share your views.
So, sir, I was saying on the topic which the Ruchika ma'am had discussed just
The
now.
failure one, yes.
The failure one.
Huh.
So actually, what is happening, sir, in the schools? Everyone is just telling them. Even the parents is expecting a lot from the student. Teachers are expecting a lot from the students. And when it comes to you can say the turn of the student, sometimes they are not knowing that how much under pressure he or she is working. And generally, what is happening? They are unable to handle that type of the situation when they get failed, because no one is telling them how to handle the failure. So I request to everyone, because everyone is the principal here. So please, it's a request to everyone that we will have to work on this thing also. Because if we are helping near about 1,500 to 2,000 students, so it matters a lot. Because when it turns to because it is not necessary that they are adding student, they can be the engineer, they can be the doctor. That is the secondary. The very first thing is their life. Because till then they will, because every time whenever the IITG result is coming, lot of
Student commit suicides, yes, we have seen that.
Yeah, because after the expenditure of near about 5 to 6 lakhs, everyone is sending everyone is in the race. Everyone wants that they are मतलब everyone parents they want to just running after the package just for the welfare of the society. मतलब उनका एक social repo चाहिए सबको. Everyone is expecting कि हमारा if our children
It
son or
happens.
daughter
It
they are
happens,
running
Pam.
that
It
much,
happens.
so it will be the prestige issue of everyone. But the main thing is the life. First of all, we will have to save the life, because till then we will not work for that. We will not be success in achieve our own goals. So we will have to teach the student कि बेटा you will not have to listen your parents, you will have to listen your own consciousness. Because maximum number of the student what they are doing in the 11th, they are opting medical along with the maths. And after 12th, when they are not able to
This
score, then they are coming
PCMBs.
to for the section change. Sometimes they drop mathematics, sometimes they drop biology, because their vision is not crystal clear, and obviously that has been affected by their parents. So we need to counsel the parents as well when we are counseling the student, as well as we need to counsel, because you are also taking the workshop and you
It
are also
required to
getting
bring a lot
the
of
parents.
confidence to the parents' mind, because when you go to the small towns, they have aspirations to send their child to Kota or some other places to just study for the same
Everyone
courses
is
which are
having the
happening.
same
Yes,
vision.
it
Yeah.
might be different for the IBS schools, it might be different to the ICSE schools, but with the CBSE schools, it is quite same, because I mean
Yeah.
in the past almost 7 to 8 years, I have interacted with almost like 8 to 900 schools, and with every school when I go with a career guidance workshop and when we conduct the parents orientation program, their approach is very limited. When they see commerce, they only have 3 to 4 options. When they look at the science, they have very few options. Now the scenario have changed. Now we started looking at different options as well. सो अगेन अब तो स्टूडेंट के पास में ऑप्शंस हैं, तो फेलियर से थोड़ा
So
बच
many
सकते हैं.
options are there.
Yes. Vidya ma'am, you want to add your point? You were yeah.
So, yeah, I think um, Dr. Mathew was talking about the open schooling. I think it's a brilliant concept which is emerging, especially during the COVID time. I think that
Yes.
emerged quite a bit, but I think that comes with its own sets of challenges, because person, a parent who's opting for such a schooling, probably he has to be firstly well versed about what he wants his child to do, or is there a direction for the child, and give facilitated that accordingly. So that comes with its
Ma'am, I just
own.
wanted to add that point because I've read the
Yeah,
entire blog on it and I've
yeah,
done some research. Due to COVID, a lot of people have opted the
yes,
freelancing thing and they are working
absolutely,
from home full time. So now
yeah,
the mother and the father, they have sufficient time to groom their wards, right?
mm,
That's why a lot of people they've started homeschooling their child. So
yeah.
this is something which was a not need out of the time, but due to COVID has actually accentuated, like in the recent past.
But also, I feel like if children of professional swimmers, professional in tennis, and all those professional children, there are also a lot of them are there into
अभी अभी एक रिसेंट एग्जांपल है, आई एम
homeschooling,
श्योर
you
दैट
know.
आपने देखा होगा. अभी एक बुक आया था यूपी के अंदर रामायण के ऊपर, द मिस्टर योगी के ऊपर, द सीएम मिस्टर योगी, राइट.
Uh-huh.
तो उन जिन्होंने बुक लिखी है वो अपने जो उनका लड़का है वो उसके अपने साथ नहीं से लेके जाते हैं, चाहे जहाँ पर भी जाते हैं. आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकॉल दैट नेम. तो वो होम स्कूलिंग कर रहे हैं एंड ऑलवेज इज टेकिंग हिज चाइल्ड समटाइम्स टू यूके, समटाइम्स टू हैदराबाद, टू डिफरेंट प्लेसेस. सो अभी उनके पास में टाइम है, उनको लगता है कि ये चीज़ करनी चाहिए. So there are people who are taking this. Dr. Mathew, you want to add your point, please?
Gulshan, when we are talking about the schools, high-end schools and the rural India, the kind of knowledge divide that is coming in. I think this can be, there is a solution for it, because look at the history of our country. This is a country which has a rich culture and it's home for so many religions, like Buddhism or Jainism or Sikhism, or all these religions emerged. Lot of, the Atman, that is the self-realization.
Ji.
Our gurus and our old scholars, that is self-realization. An individual is made to realize his own potential and develop on it. That is, I'm not taking it to that kind of extremes of things. Even in a remote village, if we are able to create a generation of good teachers who are able to give that kind of light to the children, and that self-realization is made possible, And that children are the best ambassadors for it. To tell even the parent, they can even transform the parents. When the children are equipped properly with sufficient knowledge about opportunities, they are able to tell their parents, there is something better than that. Why a doctor? I can be something better than that. I can have, I can be a manager who will be even coordinating dozens of doctors, enterprises, pharmaceuticals, things like that. I don't have to be an engineer alone. I can also be an entrepreneur that will bring in so many. So India itself is the best example. Look
Wonderfully,
at
sir. I can totally relate what you just said. Recently, a movie came from South India, Sir. Like, I'm sure there are a
Yeah,
lot of people that
I
might have
know.
seen that movie. So in that movie, that
Vijay.
hero, उसका नाम क्या है South India का?
Vijay.
Yes,
Vijay.
not Vijay. That Rajnikant's son-in-law.
Ha ha ha. Oh, yeah, I got it.
You
Yeah,
got
I
it.
got it.
Like उसका नाम
Yeah.
I'm not able to recall that name. So उस movie में दिखाया है कि that guy, he really wanted to become the best teacher, and that's how he connected to the pedagogy and with the students very much in depth. The one which you're talking about कि teachers में वो होना चाहिए. जब वो चीज़ दिखती है ना, then these students were started liking the teacher very much, और फिर वो करके दिखाते हैं जो चीज़ करनी चाहिए. So it has to come from the teacher side, but this thing has a different ups and downs and different again different theories. The teacher is something which is not the first choice of everybody, right? The one who's opted for this profession, still उनका भी first option नहीं रहता, उनका भी second या third option रहता है. So when they opted for a profession which is not something they wanted to become, so that's how फिर वो after 5 years, after 10 years, they started accepting this thing. Then they, after accepting this thing, और फिर वो self actualization and self realization, very few teachers experience that thing, right? तो वो फिर डिफर करता है मैं सर, टोटली डिपेंड्स अपॉन पर्सन टू पर्सन. या रुचिका मैम, प्लीज
His
add your
name is
point.
Dhanush. His name is Dhanush.
हाँ, धनुष. Thank you
Dhanush,
so
Dhanush.
much.
Yes,
I've
yes,
seen
yes.
that movie. I really liked it. Though I'm a very kind of an emotional person, so even I cried also in between. So I mean, it's just person to person. I started liking that thing कि student getting emotional whether जब वो सर जा रहे होते हैं उसके हमने village से. Please, रुचिका मैम,
So, two things that I wanted to say.
please.
One was regarding when we were discussing homeschooling, and I do agree with Vidya ma'am that it's a very good concept that is emerging. But I do feel that, as ma'am said, it comes with its own set of cons. One thing that I feel is that a few parents might be doing it because, as you said, they have time on hands. But what I think is, the curriculum which has been developed and the pedagogies which are being developed by teachers, they are trained, they are having multiple trainings, even on job. And when they are doing it at home, do they have a definite sense of direction? Do they have a definite vision? If that is not there, perhaps we are doing a disaster for the child because it might be experiment for you, but I am not sure as to what would be the
Right,
outcome.
totally, I totally got your point, ma'am. We need to actually add a vision to the student life, what they want to become. We need to create a path, not just creating some abstract vision. This comes to my next question to Dr. Mathew. Dr. Mathew, the role of technology in the classroom is rapidly evolving. And we have all seen in the recent times a lot of new tools have come in, like for an example, ChatGPT, which is actually doing your work and reducing the work hours like बहुत ज़्यादा. So with the new tools and resources being developed all the time, so what are some innovative ways that technology can be used to promote creativity and innovation in the classroom?
Well, I'm not a person who believes that the whole, exercise of utilizing, ICT, should be in the classroom.
Okay.
This is only classroom. We plant the seed, one seed at a time. We plant it, but it spills over. It goes. You may have a technology lab in the school. You may have a tinkering lab in the school.
Exactly.
You may have other facilities at the school, and nowadays networking is another tool that is, social media or whatever be it. What is actually Metcalfe's rule? That is the number of gadgets into n minus 1 divided by 2. That means if you have 10 gadgets, around 60 connections we are having. The means what I mean is I'm not only talking about chatting or that kind of connections, but I'm talking about the connection from one point of source of information to another point of source of information. We have to take our children and expose to them to that, and all because if you make it a kind of a web is made or a chart is prepared, we don't have the time to now make presentations and all that. The chart is prepared. It is the potential is enormous. You can't explain it in 1 hour or 2 hours or in one session or two sessions.
Exactly.
That much of in terms of processing tools, in terms of collaborating tools, in terms of displaying tools, retrieving data, transmitting data, all that. So it is a teacher at a school comes as an agent to expose children, and a good teacher becomes a kind of a guide, a kind of trainer, a resource person. Only students will have to refer to. Earlier in the beginning itself, I think Vidya madam and Ruchika madam was mentioning about it also. Empower the children will carry it forward, and and it is something that has to be monitored by a good teacher. That is where earlier also we are mentioning about homeschooling also, the difficulty of homeschooling. How good is the person who is trained to monitor this and guide? That is very vital. So if it is in the hands of a wrong person, it destroyed. It is, or the wrong
Absolutely,
person is
yes.
guiding and taking it. So that is where I still believe that we need to, even NEP, we are talking about transforming our education system, but we need to transform our teachers. We need to transform these guides and guardians of knowledge and technology.
Absolutely, yes.
And
You have
once,
rightly pointed, sir. You have rightly pointed that before everything else, the teacher should give the safe environment to the all the students. Everything will fall into the line if we create a safe environment in our classrooms. Wonderful.
so classroom is only just like a tip of the iceberg that the rest of it lies in our day-to-day life and activities. In schools, activities are also equally important. What I have observed is when we have more activities, academic, non-academic, co-curricular, extracurricular, every child is so happy. And there we, from a distance, are able to watch and find who is good at what, who has got the potential. So many areas to compete, so many areas to innovate, so many areas to, do research and find out, so many areas to excel. So that kind of opportunities that
We
is
need to
created.
create, yes.
Otherwise, just a few gadgets and we have some interactive boards and multimedia facilities in the school, and we say we have brought technology. No, we have to bring it into every area of involvement in a good school, and then definitely you get wonderful results, and we see it in front of our eyes, and that's a wonderful experience to feel.
Thank you so much for bringing so much, you can say, information to our knowledge. Would like to give last option to Vidya ma'am. Then we'll create another section. Yes, Vidya ma'am, please summarize your views.
Yeah, yeah, I think I completely agree with Dr. Mathew in the fact that the smart boards and all that which you use in the class, in my opinion, probably if I'm being very aggressive about it, it's a fad because it just says okay, mere paas bhi ye hai, and I think the learning just doesn't go beyond that. I completely agree with that, and see, now the networking as is brought out, I think it's a very important area where the children learn to collaborate probably with the like-minded people and escalate their own potential and go to the next level. That is the power of networking. And also there's something called the hybrid learning. The learning just does not take place only in the classrooms. It takes place anytime, anywhere. And that is where this hybrid learning can help quite a lot. The child need not be present in the classroom. Okay, I think you have a platform where you can listen to the lecture of the teachers or probably what they're posting in the classrooms. and use the power of technology to learn much more than what he is doing in the classroom is the mantra for the hour, not the
No,
smart
what you
board
said,
sitting in
Vidya
the
ma'am, what you
classroom.
said is rightly.
Yeah.
This reminds me of a marketing team of a school where they mentioned that VR lab or the smart board,
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
Nobody mentioned this is the most happiest place, right? Because this will not
Yeah,
bring
it
them
is.
more students. Till the time they'll not mention VR lab, atomic drinking lab, or a lot of things to their browser. Chalo, let leads to our last section of our webinar. This conversation is one of the most fruitful conversation which we ever had in our platform. So thanks to all of you. So now we are moving on to the last section where we call it a rapid fire round. So in rapid fire round, I want 2 suggestions from you how to foster or how to create this environment where the creativity and innovation will take place, right? So I want 2 suggestions from your side. Anything you can share if they are implementing in your school. So do not go in depth. I just want the suggestions. That's it. So one by one, I'll give you a chance to speak about the suggestions which you want to add. So 2 suggestions you need to give me, which the teachers or the school directly implement in their schools to foster this creativity and innovation. Okay. So just a second. I'll give you 10 seconds to think upon. Then from Vidya ma'am to Savita ma'am, then again Sarita ma'am, then Dr. Mathew, then Ruchika ma'am. Right? Now, Vidya ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty much a good question. So I think the suggestions are like, see, make children a part of the problem solving in your school. So when we put the children there, they gave me 2 suggestions, the children's suggestions. See, manually, actually at 6 o'clock in the evening, we manually switch on all the lights in the school is taking enormous manpower, enormous time. So children developed using an IoT. They developed a light switch on using the photo density of light. So when the sunlight goes down,
It automatically switched
it
off. Yes.
automatically switches on, and when the sun comes again, it goes down. So this was a brilliant thing which the students did themselves using this relay switch. And one more thing the children suggested to me was, because we do not have a technology based, because we've got a very huge campus, we do not have a technology based irrigation system or anything in the campus. So this one suggestion was given to me by the student, ma'am, why don't you develop such a thing? Because it's going to be really useful and it's going to be time bound, and then it's going to save a lot of manpower. So these are something which is coming from the students when you involve them in the day-to-day activities.
Exactly. So what you said, do not discuss about the other problems. First, discuss about the problems of your campus, of your school only, and then try to find out the solutions. Right. So it will give them more understanding. Wonderful.
Yes.
Savita ma'am, over
So
to you.
this will make
Just a
learning
second.
more meaningful for them. You know,
Exactly.
the learning is more meaningful, and they know that their thoughts, their ideas are translating into actions, and it gives them a sense of pride. I think this is a very important thing, which the
And
students
sense
felt
of
after.
belongingness as well. Wonderfully.
Yes,
Thank you, Vidya
absolutely.
ma'am, for sharing these wonderful views. Yes, Savita ma'am, over to you. 2 suggestions.
So regarding the for the to booster the creativity, we should have to develop this own school own botanical garden. So that will help the student because they will have to think. Suppose कि ये sprouting ही हमने दिया, तो every student they will be give some particular seeds to sprout, and then they can see the happening कि how the plants will be, you can say, germinated. So germination activity that develops itself. And the student during the free periods, we can say them like the Earth Day celebration is just coming. So on this Earth Day, we can plant every student. We can say that some group will be there, and every student in that group they will have to plant one tree. And after every 5 days, they will have to check it. They will have to water it. That can be done. And apart from that, we can train the student to chase their own passion. Suppose a student is having the interest in the geographical books. So what will be done? We will have to provide them whenever he or she wins. So we will have to give them maximum number of the books so that it will boost up their reading skill. And
Wonderful.
they will create the, you can say, help them in the reading skills also.
Wonderful, wonderful. आपने जो पहला point बताया ना, I would like to share this. Just take the opportunity and discuss with you all. I visited one school in Hyderabad. The name of the school is Sangamitra School. I'm sure Vidya ma'am must be known.
Yes, I know.
Ha-
Mhm.
if you have visited that campus, because last to last year in 2019 I visited that school for 2 days teachers workshop. They have a very big campus. मैंने उनसे
Mhm.
अच्छा ब्यूटीफुल गार्डन नहीं देखा. उन्होंने अपने कैंपस को, मैम टू बी वेरी, रुचिका मैम, सरिता मैम, उनका कैंपस अगर आप देखेंगे ना आपको लगेगा दे हैव एवरी पॉसिबल फ्रूट इन देयर कैंपस. ड्रैगन फ्रूट्स, मतलब इतना अच्छा कैंपस, और एवरीथिंग इज मेंटेन्ड बाय दी स्टूडेंट्स. Can you beat that? And they have
I think the
utilized
people
almost
different.
every small space of their campus, and almost like 50 to 60% of the need of the school, the vegetable need and the other need, the fruit needs, it is being taken care by from that garden only. So उन्होंने सिर्फ garden utilize नहीं किया है, almost every particular space from the entire campus. So it looks very beautiful. Wonderful. Sarita ma'am, please share 2 suggestions. You have to unmute yourself first. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So first of all, whatever we are planning about these things, so I feel we hear the principles on the list. We need to give the space to the teachers and children to work smoothly, which is the first thing we talk. Then only the things can work well.
हाँ.
This is what I believe in.
Autonomy
That
का
I get
perfect
from my.
example है मैम, सरिता मैम. This is the perfect example of autonomy.
Mhm.
And
Wonderful.
secondly, I would like to tell you that would be teacher, would be anyone involved in the school, if the learning atmosphere is created rather than, demotivating the children and enhancing them, will really make the classroom more interesting and things will come in a better way. These two takeaways I would like to
Wonderful.
give.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Over to you, Dr. Mathew.
Well, I think our co-panelists have very well already mentioned a few points. I would like to add. Once I had an experience going for an inspection for the ICSE board to one of the schools, and I saw a beautiful interactive board. The teacher was using it as a whiteboard.
So almost this is a
So
unanimous
I
thing.
had to call
Almost
one of the
70% people, they
parents.
use it like this only.
So that's
So
what I
what
said.
I
It's a
meant to
fact.
say, I no, it just made me think and think a lot, apart from that particular incident. And one thing we try in our school is to equip our teachers and expose them to as many experiences as possible. 21st century world, the children are traveled far and wide. We have children who have been to US or Europe or to the Singapore or any part of the world. But perhaps the teacher might not have the experience. But we have technology at our hand. We need to expose people and to take them to have a kind of universal understanding over this cosmos. After all, we are a planet, and that planet too, in the Milky Way, in the solar system, where there are innumerable solar systems. And what are we? We are nothing. This planet Earth is called. And to give them that kind of cosmic consciousness and understanding about what is happening in and around within our country, our neighborhood, in best situations and places. Once that happens, it automatically translates, giving better information for the children. This wonderfully I have learned through our teachers working hard and making that possible. Number one. Number two, I've, I have found that activities, academic and non-academic activities, have a great role to play, bringing the smile back on the children's face. It's not regimented classrooms that we need. We need people to people talk, people to teacher talk, people to teachers talk. As Vidya madam was mentioning some wonderful experiences, we have every day such a good principal will have hundreds of such experiences to tell, children coming up with beautiful ideas. Sometimes they surpassing our own knowledge and understanding. So that is solely possible by giving children more activities and more opportunity to excel. We have science fair. Science fair is not only limited to physics, chemistry, or bio or technical or professional competence of the children. Even geography or history, or they have innumerable opportunity to display, bring in technology, bring better ways of doing. So when we give children opportunities like that, they are far ahead of us. We have to run. In Alice in Wonderland, they say you have to run ahead to stay where you are. See, we belong to a century. We belong to a generation of teachers or managers of education, etc., etc. But children are far ahead. We have to run ahead to catch up with the kind of a movement that is taking place. But if we have one teacher who is disturbing and stopping them, curtailing them, sit down, don't do that, don't so their creativity is lost. These two things, that is well equipped teachers and students who have enormous potential to indulge in various activities in the school, this does wonders for children.
This
And we
wonderful.
never find children, never find them not being successful, whichever career or whatever branch of science or a subject that they take. We have always seen them succeeding.
Wonderful. This reminds me of one of the example. I'm sure that every one of you might have seen that movie, that video which is on YouTube, Class of Rowdies. So the teacher example is totally related to that
Yeah. Yes,
that school,
absolutely.
that Blue Wells
Sometimes
school in Delhi.
rowdies are the best in life. Later, they turn out to be the best successful persons. Sometimes we have to accept that.
Last, let me give
I
opportunity
think
to
the
Ruchika
growth,
ma'am.
the growth mindset.
Then we'll have a small chat. Yeah, Ruchika ma'am, please complete. Yeah, share your views.
I would like to say one thing for the students and another one for teachers. For students, I always tell them to read, to imagine, to experiment, to create, and repeat. So I'll repeat: read, imagine, experiment, create, repeat. This is what I generally tell my students. And to teachers, be flexible, give autonomy, teach reflection. To me, it is very, very important, and provide scaffolding. That is also very significant. Be flexible, give autonomy, teach reflection, and provide scaffolding. That's it.
Wonderful. So let me formally end this webinar. Then we can have a chit chat for next 2 to 3 minutes if you have time. Thank you everyone, Vidya ma'am, Savita ma'am, Sarita ma'am, Dr. Mathew, Ruchika ma'am, for sharing these wonderful suggestions. I'm sure when we upload this video on YouTube, there might be, you can say, hundred of things the teachers and the principal can implement in their school and their life, not just school, outside the school as well. So thank you everyone for sharing these wonderful views and taking time out from your hectic schedule. On the behalf of the entire team of Inspired Valley, we thank everyone and we wish to see you again on our upcoming webinars. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.